There is one sugar daddy that I think I have, and I think I'm meeting him on Tuesday.
This is amazing!
For legal reasons, all things said on this podcast are hypothetical and figments of our imagination.
Hi, I'm Meghna.
And I'm Sophia. Welcome to our lives.
Hi everyone, thank you for supporting our first episode, backed by not so popular demand. It's episode number 2 of Roofies and Peanut Allergies with Meghna and Sophia. Today we're joined by my roommate, Kristen.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm a second year at I'm a biochemistry major with a business minor.
So that's something that I wanted to talk about today, is like how your freshman year experience was different from ours.
At least someone didn't find your Instagram because of your school username when you took the COVID test.
How do they do that? Wait, I want to hear that whole story.
So when I was doing one of my first COVID tests at when I came back to campus, you have to like use your app to scan the bottle, and mine wasn't working. There was a lot of like technical issues. Volunteers there had to help me get like my email and my PID to like record my test tube or whatever. And so one of the guys was like, "Oh, what's your username?" And I was like, he's like, "Oh, that's a cool username." And then find out he follows me on Instagram like after my test. So I was like, okay.
Was he at least cute?
Yeah, he was pretty cute.
So then it's fine.
That's good. I feel
Right.
like that violates some kind of confidentiality.
Does it actually?
Key. I don't know if they signed it, but that kind of feels like it did.
Maybe. Okay, maybe I shouldn't. I won't disclose this person's name, but no, he's pretty chill. I feel like everyone was just kind of like horny at once. Like, I don't know about, like, a lot of people were because of like quarantine.
Definitely in the beginning of quarantine. I don't know whether Sophia, did you notice this? Sophia's in a very happy, stable, long-term relationship, so she will not relate to a lot of the things that Kristen and I have to say today. But in the beginning of quarantine, yeah, I think there was just like a surge in horniness. Like, either people realized that their relationships were not going to make it through the pandemic, so they broke up, and so they were like, I'm single and ready to fuck. Or there were people who were like, oh shit, I can't do this next few months alone, so I need to find someone quick.
Right, but I feel like that energy is still lasting until now, though, because, I mean, it might be even worse now because it's been so long that people can't, like, hang out, go to parties, like, flirt, or, like, meet other people like that anymore. So it's, like, kind of, you find any way you can to get, like, people will literally, like, I'll be on a Zoom call and, like, my camera's on or something, and there's, like, been at least 2 people that found me from that or have gotten my Instagram or Snapchat from that means.
Sophia, what do you have to say about all of this? How has your relationship survived? Give us the wisdom.
Well, I think part of it is that we were long distance to begin with. So like it wasn't much, because what I was seeing a lot of is people who were like dating on campus, and then everyone went home, and so like people kind of like scattered, and then like that shift from being in person to long distance is like difficult, and I think that's what happened with a lot of people. But since like we were already long distance, like we were joking about it in the beginning, like nothing's really changed. And then if anything, it was better because like he was in Santa Barbara and I was down here. That's like a 4-hour drive difference. But then we both went home, so then we were down the street from each other. So it was like we could actually see each other more often, but we would just go to the park. So like, but that was still like, it was almost an improvement. I think that we were just like a very minor case.
Okay, this is very controversial to say, and we don't even have that many listeners, but this could get us cancelled. But I feel like it's obviously been horrible, the pandemic, so many people have died. I want it to be over, don't get me wrong.
Oh my God, Meghna.
But I kind of learned to finesse through it because if all my classes were not online, and if I couldn't, like, if everything wasn't just recorded and I could just adjust it to whatever. I'm currently working 3 jobs. I don't know how I would have done that, like, at all. Because right now, I can, like, plan out all my work shifts and, like, normal business hours and not care or give a fuck about when my classes are, and then just watch them at night or over the weekend. So I feel like it's bad to say, but there's no way I would have managed to do so much if there wasn't a pandemic going on.
Right. Or if it wasn't an option for like asynchronous lectures and stuff. Like the
Yeah.
amount of accountability that's put on us definitely I think helped improve a lot of people's like self-organization and like responsibility because you don't have teachers saying every single day in your face, you have a quiz tomorrow or like you have this assignment, you have to like figure that out like on your own.
Yeah, and I also think like I work well in crisis, so as soon as like crisis mode struck, I was like,
You were just like,
okay,
focus.
time to
I feel
like,
that. Why do I like get 99% of my stuff done when I am like having a panic attack?
yeah,
I don't
same.
know.
No,
Yeah.
same.
Can't get anything done until like your like alarm mode
Yeah.
sets off and you're like, alright,
Oh
let's
my
go.
gosh, like yesterday when I was trying to take a nap and I was like, fuck, I missed my RA interview and then I was like game mode. I got everything done I needed to get done that night.
True. And I also feel like if I do badly in one thing, I'm like, fuck. And then it like forces me to improve everything else.
Yeah.
This is really bad to say, but statute of limitations. Like I remember freshman year, our first ever midterm was a Saturday midterm and it was at 8 a.m. And somehow my sweet mates had managed to convince me that it was okay to drink till 6 a.m., shower, have breakfast, and go for the midterm at 8. But it was one of those classes where it was like 3 midterms, so you could drop the lowest one. So I just went to give it, but I was like, okay, this is the one that's gonna be dropped, and then I'll do horribly, and it'll make me feel so bad that I'll start focusing on everything else, and then like one bad midterm and I'll be like, okay, time to stop and get your shit together.
You planned all of this out. You planned out your crises.
I planned it. I was like, I'm just gonna go in. It's gonna suck, but I'm gonna do it. And I went in, not hungover, but still like drunk, like still buzzed.
Not even hungover, just drunk.
Straight up. And then I got like a 96%, and I was like, shit, this quarter or like this year, I'm not gonna straighten myself out because now that I know I can like
you can just actually pull it off.
I can just pull it off. I'm always gonna be at that level.
So type A that it hurts you in the head.
Okay, so Sophia's always wanted to go live in the Midwest.
Why?
Well, like I like the idea of the fact of having like a house and a lot of land.
I like
because
corn.
The neighbors with all their corn might be a little freaky, but like I just want my little market garden and like my chickens and my goats. Like I'll have my little organic natural farm.
That's perfect. Especially land is like so much cheaper out there. Like it's so nice. Like my family has like 15 acres for absolutely no reason. Absolutely no reason.
Let me start a chicken farm on that.
Yes, you could. You definitely could. We've talked about it. Having chickens is so cool. You just get like fresh eggs all the time. I don't have chickens, but like our neighbors do. Like 3 of my neighbors have
maple
horses.
trees.
I do. We make our own maple syrup.
Yeah.
I literally have an apple orchard like in my backyard and like a nice pond I go skating on. Like this is a very rare, like even though I live in the Midwest, this is not like common, okay? Like this just happened to be my life somehow. But no, I like it for sure. Going through the college application stuff, I was like, I want to like leave Minnesota. I have the opportunity, like I'm an only child. Like I know my parents can like splurge on me a little bit with like tuition and whatever. So like I wanted to take that opportunity to go live somewhere else. Like, even though, like, I could have gone to the U of M, Twin Cities, and, like, that's an amazing school, but, like, I wanted the experience of, like, living somewhere else and taking that opportunity, and I was like, oh, I'm sick of the Midwest, like, I'm sick of Minnesota, it's just boring. So I was, like, excited to come to San Diego, and I do love it out here.
Speaking of that, though, because Sophia's had this theory, and I also feel, or maybe this is a full misconception, that the guys on the East Coast are... I don't know how you even describe it because I don't want to offend any of my guy friends in California, but apparently they're less pussy than guys in California.
I know on the East Coast, people are way more, like, blunt and harsh, and, like, so that's what my parents always told me when I was thinking about going to college in Boston. They were like, people are mean out there, like, they're very blunt, and, like, I'm used to the Minnesota nice, and even coming to California, I was kind of, like, a little culture shocked by, like, how, not necessarily, like, mean, people aren't mean, but how less openly nice people are. And I can't even imagine what I would do like on the East Coast because like it just, I don't know. So I feel like on the East Coast people maybe, I don't know if this is true or not, maybe like are more open speaking their mind, and so that may come off as harsh, whereas it's not meant to be harsh.
I think it's a great thing. Cause
I think you would fit well in
And
that.
I feel like in California, like guys like feel like they gotta live up to some like LA boy, San Diego boy standard of like being like a skater boy. Oh, like I make music. Like I have to surf. Like I don't know, but like these are things that apply to like many guys. You know, like they have to fit into some sort of aesthetic.
Yeah,
and their personality also does.
Yeah, I feel like if they don't fit in, they're like forced to fit in.
Exactly. And there's also just this weird, I feel like this is with guys everywhere, it's like this forced like outward masculinity thing where they feel like they have to act so masculine.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys put on sort of like a facade of something. Like you feel it when you talk to them, where it's just like you clearly they're saying things to appear a certain way, but that's not what they're thinking inside.
Exactly. And it's like kind of, I don't know, to me at least it's very obvious when guys do this, but like with guys that I've met in California, I feel like it's really, they're really hard to read because when you grow up kind of like in a more suburban or like urban location, you're so good at putting that on because that's how you survive in California, is putting on that front.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think it's also like I just don't understand it, and I admit I'm like really blunt with that fact, but it's like you spend some time with them and you know it's like an act or something, and you're kind of like, who are you doing this for? It's not like you don't like it, I don't like it, And it makes no sense.
I think eventually people kind of like let it down, like as soon as they know that you're comfortable with them.
You know what's like almost even worse than the masculinity front is the nice guy front.
Oh,
it is
that's
so
the
annoying, and it's
worst.
the easiest to see through, where they like go out of their way to do little things that are like quote unquote nice, but of course they expect something from it. It's so dumb. It's so funny though.
That's what I kind of meant, because like I don't think guys here are like trying to be very masculine. That's not like a vibe.
Here it's
here
not.
it's like the nice guy, and then I was like, oh shit, I've been like going out with assholes, so I'm gonna date nice guys. But these nice guys are way more like assholes than assholes. With assholes, you know what you're getting, and that's cool.
Right.
These guys make you think like, oh shit, they're nice, they care about me, but then they really don't.
In Minnesota, I feel like it's definitely it's a more masculine thing. Like guys are still nice. Like people are normally like outwardly nice to you if you like first meet them, whatever. But I can tell when like even some of my best guy friends, they try to like put off this like, oh, I'm the man, like blah blah blah. Like I don't know, it's weird.
Okay, do y'all feel like your interactions with guys one-on-one is very different from with the same guy in like a huge group? Like they become like completely like two different people.
I mean, I feel like that could be true for everyone though.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Because when you're like around a lot of people, you're kind of naturally accommodating to all of these people. Whereas like when you're with someone one-on-one, you're like giving them your full attention and like you're only appealing to like that person.
That makes 100%. Yeah, because I think in a group scenario, it's like you're trying to connect and like that exact word, accommodate like everyone there. So you're going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, and be like bubbly and upbeat, whereas that might not naturally be like your normal self. So when girls are like, oh, like guys treat me like shit when they're around their friends, which is true in a lot of cases. Like guys will definitely not be a simp in front of their friends, but it's also, you have to take into account the fact that they're like not just there for you too.
Oh no, I totally get that. I was just like, this is not even guys I've been dating or anything, just general, I like to read people and like stuff like that. So I've noticed like even with people they're comfortable with, it's like a little bit different.
It's a little bit different.
And then I'm like, am I the only one picking up on this?
No, you're not the only one.
Yeah. Well, think about like when you hang out with certain people, you're like, oh, I can definitely be more myself around Sophia or around like Yuli. Like you act differently with anyone. You put on a different form of you when you're with an individual person.
For me personally, like as I get older, I'm just kind of like, I just don't care as much anymore. I think this is true for a lot of people through college because it's much more rigid socially in high school, and so you're kind of like, you only express yourself really to like your close friends, and then you just kind of act normally, whatever that is, during school. But like in college, you have like so much more independence and freedom, and you're able to express yourself a lot more in a lot of different ways. Then like everyone's doing that, and you kind of realize, oh, like I can just be myself and be okay with like people not liking you, and you finding just the people that are gonna vibe with you, basically.
Because if people don't like who you are naturally, it doesn't really matter because they'll just ward off, I guess,
like,
and then they'll find their people.
Anyways,
exactly. And it's like the more people are gonna like you way more if you're being like your unique self with all your little quirks, whatever, than if you're just like a bland, like, repeat the same 5 jokes from 2016 and like have no depth, you know?
Yeah.
No, but honestly, now that you mentioned it, I didn't know if that was college, but I always felt like I was putting up like more of a front in high school or in India. But I've obviously felt more comfortable being myself here, and in the last few years I've become more confident and more comfortable just being me. But I thought that was just because I was like, there's like more freedom here to do that. So I related it with country, but maybe it's just like growing up in college.
Also just like seeing everyone else just doing their own thing too, whereas like in high school you conform because everyone else is conforming, whereas like in college everyone's like doing their own thing and like being themselves, so it's like easier to do that in an atmosphere where everyone else is too.
So Kristen, this is something like we've been having a great conversation, but there's something I want to specifically ask on the podcast, which is, you're planning on donating your eggs?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I heard about this kind of like prestigious donation process like a couple years ago, but I wasn't 18 yet. But I all I heard about was like, oh, you can make a bunch of money off of it, and then my friend brought it up to me like over winter break, and I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely still a thing. So I kind of looked more into it, like what are the side effects, could it like potentially hurt me, and I found a clinic in San Diego and I applied. So I just put in a lot of like some of like my family history, things about me. I answered like more personal questions like, oh, what's your favorite book, what's like, how would you describe your personality, just so that the donor parents, when they're looking through different profiles, they can kind of get to know you better. I like submitted some pictures and I got through. And so I went to like a little Zoom meeting where they like brought me through the process, and like I asked them, you know, would this make me like infertile? Because that was like a big concern of my parents too, is like they don't want me to feel like I have to do this for money because they don't want me to get hurt. And so I kind of learned it is like a relatively safe, it's a safe procedure. It's only 30 minutes that you're under. Or no, you're under for probably an hour, because that's just like how it puts you out. But the procedure itself is only like 30 minutes. So it's a relatively like safe procedure. I'm not going to speak too much on it because I don't know everything about the medical side of it. But so if I don't, with my specific clinic, if I donated the max amount of times, if it's safe for me to do it the max amount of times, I could make up to $105,000. So that was definitely an incentive for me.
How much will you get for the first time?
First time $6,000, and they up it by $1,000 every time after. So it would go up to $15,000 because that would be the max number I could donate.
Are you on hormones for this?
No, so I wouldn't go on hormones until 2 days before my procedure. So they'll give me injections. So I will have to self-inject myself with hormones for 2 days. And
I can
that
help
will.
you with that.
That's okay. I low-key just want to do it. I need to get better at doing that stuff and handling it. If I want to be a dermatologist, I need to get better at this.
Yeah.
The stabbies. So what that does is like it makes you develop, like, because it's such an intense hormone surge, it's way more than what you would normally experience during regular like cycle. So that's what causes you. Yeah, that causes you to produce a lot of eggs. So you have a set number of follicles, but you produce a bunch more eggs, and then they can just snag them. And then there's going to be a bunch of little Kristens running around the world. And I'm so freaking excited.
That's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the surgery.
Don't even worry. I don't even know if I want kids. I will be so detached from those motherfuckers. Like, I just honestly want to see what my kids will look like. Like, because I know certain parents can choose the level of, like, openness they want to have with the donor. So, like, I could have no contact with them whatsoever. I could do, like, a website where it's anonymous and they can just ask me questions, or I can update them on myself. Or they can be, like, completely open, like, I have their name and numbers, and they'll, I hope they do that, because then they can send me pictures, and I can see what my child would look like.
So I'm so conflicted about this. What are your thoughts, Sophia?
I don't know anybody who's done this. It is hard to, like, kind of foresee yourself decades ahead. Like, let's say, like, if your children, like, start their own families, then, like, now you're, like, a grandma. Like, how do you kind of envision yourself with that?
Yeah, I think I just have a kind of a different ideal of, like, my life in kids and family. Like, I know a lot of people are like, you grow up, you get married, and then you have kids, whereas like I don't necessarily see my life going that way. So I just have a very different, like, my values on family and kids are different than a lot of people. That's why it's like shocking to a lot of people when I say I'm doing this, because they're like, oh my god, but those are gonna be your children, like, aren't you gonna want to be their mother? Like, no, I don't even want to be a mother, first of all.
Okay, I understand that part completely, and as someone, like, I have PCOS, for those who don't know what that is, it's managed right now, it's under control and stuff, but in the most extreme cases you can't have kids. That's not my case. Now I've like basically reversed it, but for a long time that was a thing, and I would like, for me, if that was me later on as someone who wants to have kids one day, I would have really appreciated someone donating the eggs.
Right, and like I actually have family members that have like gone through like either being infertile or like miscarriages, so it's like I kind of also see this as like a good way to help people, like, because I don't know, that makes me feel good at heart too.
And I understand that, and I understand like you won't see the kids as your mothers. What, like, maybe this is just me because I overthink and I always go to worst case scenario, and I don't want to freak you out, like, this is just hypotheticals, but like my thinking is like, what if that child's life does not go or like as they planned, or like it's not like that great, and like they're not connected to their parents or whatever, and they start imagining like, oh, this is what my real mom is like, and you know what I mean, like maybe you won't see them as your kids, but you have no control over how they'll see you.
Right. I mean that kind of, I guess, like also relates to Sophia's question. So like in like 20 years, if that does happen, like, I mean, I don't think I would feel any personal guilt, because it really wasn't my choice. This wasn't my kid that I was personally bringing into the world. That's kind of the parents' fault of like making that kid even feel that way. But I do expect, like, even if they have a good life, they'll like wonder, you know, who is my mom? What does she look like? What is she doing? So, which I'm totally okay with. Like, I would totally be open to meeting this child. Like, I wouldn't really feel a connection in that way. Like, I wouldn't try and take possession. Child, right? Like, I always, like, I understand that completely, and like I don't even feel that way. And that's something they do ask you at the fertility clinic. They're like, do you feel like that you would be able to emotionally detach yourself? And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm not paying for this kid. but yeah, like, because I don't, like, right now, I don't want kids. Like, I just feel like for me, it's a waste of money. I don't want to be tied down by a kid. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to do what I want to do. I don't even know if I'm, like, selfless enough to care that much for a kid and, like, be so, like, I'm sure I would be a good mom, but I just... I don't know. You would be, but I don't know if I'd want to be.
I don't think you have to be, and I don't think you want, like, you want to be. Like, I think it's a good thing that you're doing. But for me, I was just like worried because there's so many variables, and it's like, I also don't know anyone who's done this. So most of my questions are just coming from like a place of curiosity. Like, what are you thinking about this? Like X, Y, Z.
And like
what?
I totally see, like, I could totally flip and be like, you know, I do want kids. Because a lot of people, when they get to that age, they totally would. But like, I don't really know, like, how, I don't think I'm gonna regret it at all, because you know, like, at least the monetary stipend, like, that would help me get on my feet a little bit with like paying tuition or like getting a place to stay. It helps me take off the financial burden that I have right now a little bit, just to be able to pay for my own things. I don't like asking my parents for money. I like having my own money, making my own money, and that would kind of help me, you know, if I am doing school a lot and I can't have a job, like, it would not make me stressed out over the fact that I feel like worthless for not making money, you know. So like when I'm older, I think I'll appreciate the reason that I did this for, and also like appreciate like the fact that it helped other people. And if a kid ever did want to like come into contact with me, like, I would totally be down for that. As you know, I don't really care about having this person in my life. Like, I'm down for it. I'm also down to not have this.
You're okay either way. Like, if the child comes to you, you'd be fine with it.
As long as I don't have to be a parent to it. Then
that makes sense. And you wouldn't have to be.
I also think, I don't know, like, I would want to be in open communication with the parents, at least a little bit, because like, just for their own sake, because if something happens to me, like I develop like ovarian cancer, that's something that can be passed down. They should know about that. Like, I want them to know about that. Like, I don't want my kid or them to be put in under stress and like all of a sudden realize this and then be like, well, you didn't tell me that. And
Do they require genetic testing, or do they do genetic testing on like the eggs at all?
I don't know about that, but I did actually have a phone call today, and they were asking me about like my parents, all of their siblings, and my cousins, and diseases or like irregularities when they were born, miscarriages, minor and major medical conditions, just so that they can get like an idea of if there's like, like a pattern going on here, like something wrong.
I don't know. I would have thought like there'd be more genetic and psychological
Yeah,
aspect.
I would have guessed that they would have done genetic testing since it's so accessible nowadays.
It's so easy to do genetic testing.
They asked about like psychological issues too a couple of times. So but I don't think I have a lot of that in my family. So not much to worry. The more I like go through these questions that they ask me, because they also ask me about like my upbringing, my childhood, like things that I went through, like how do I handle stress, how am I doing now, like. And my aunts, I was like, dang, I'm pretty lucky. Like, I don't have, like, major family diseases. Like, I had a great, like, childhood, everything. Yeah. I was like, I'm an ideal candidate.
Speaking of, like, because I totally understand the money aspect of it. We understand, like, you want to be self-sufficient. And you're doing a good thing while doing that. Because think about, like, how many girls do we know who have, like, selling feet pictures, getting sugar daddies.
I don't really look down on people that do that, because I mean I've tested those waters. Like I've never actually like committed to anything like that, but I would totally consider it. It's easy money. Like
this is a great topic to discuss. This since when do you know like there's so many old white men. Like it's very easy to get a sugar daddy here. That's something I discovered. And, like, we know, like, I didn't realize how common that shit was, like, till I came to college.
Yep.
Kristen's reaction to everyone listening right now is this, like, weird little smile, and she wants to tell us something, but she's not.
I don't know if I should.
Tell us, and then if you want us to cut it,
for sure. We can cut it.
So, there is one sugar daddy that I think I have, and I think I'm meeting him on Tuesday.
This is amazing!
But in public, and my friends are coming to kind of like spy on it, you know?
Yeah.
Because I don't, I'm not gonna put myself into like a stupid, dangerous situation. That's why that's why I don't do a lot of the sugar daddy thing, because I just don't know who can really be trusted. It's kind of scary for me. I'd rather not die trying to get a bug.
Yeah, same.
So I think I'm gonna meet him in like Carlsbad or something, and then
I was there last weekend.
But if he doesn't give me money, it's not a thing. 'Cause I'm not trying to fucking date some old guy right now. I don't.
How
really care
old
that
is
much. I don't know. I think probably like 50s or 60s.
Oh.
But he's been like kind of texting me and like saying, hey, like, what's up? Like, when do you want to meet? Blah blah.
Where did you come? I want to hear this whole story. And then if you want to cut it out, we cut it out.
There's a website for like sugar babies and sugar daddies.
Is it Seeking Arrangements?
Oh, yep.
That's the one that we always hear about.
I literally only put one picture up as my profile, and it goes off. My fucking profile goes, it's
amazing.
Popping. But I literally barely check.
This.
Yeah, I can show you it, but I barely use it because I just don't even think about it. And then sometimes I do, and I just kind of like scroll through the messages to like see like if someone's like looking for the same thing, because I don't want to be like talking to some guy that actually wants to date me. I'm like, I just want the kind of relationship where they just text you and pay you.
I've had friends who've done like Seeking Arrangements. I have friends who've like gone on trips to Mexico via Seeking Arrangements.
That's so sus though. That's scary.
The guy, like, they went on a few dates before, and he was like someone they knew, and then he was like, yeah, bring all your friends.
Oh, okay.
So he like funded like the 7 people trip to Mexico and paid for all their housing and shit, and she didn't even sleep with him or anything. Like, she was just like eating food with him and like giving him company,
because they just want company sometimes. They're lonely.
So like, but I don't judge it at all.
Even that's like kind of scary. Like, for me, that'd be scary because there's so much human trafficking that goes on.
It's terrifying. So definitely like when you go, like, share your location and shit. Tell me exactly where you're going. I will keep tabs.
Put your GPS
if you need us to come pick you up from Carlsbad, we will race there.
I will race there.
Yes.
So then what exactly, like, how did y'all decide to meet at Carlsbad? Like, what are y'all doing?
Probably just getting food. He said like getting drinks, but I'm not 21 yet, so I don't, probably just like getting food, because he'd been messaging me, and it's been a while and I was like, well, I'm going back home for like winter break and stuff, so I'm not actually gonna be in San Diego, so I'm kind of surprised he's even like still messaging me, because and he would message me like intermittently throughout break and be like, oh, like, you want to meet up tonight? I'm like, bitch, I told you I'm fucking not even in San Diego. Like, what do you want me to do? And like, even this week, I was like, okay, well, I could maybe meet next Tuesday. And he was like, oh, okay. And then literally today, he messaged me and he was like, so are you free tonight? I'm like, what is going through your mind, bro? Like,
how do they have so much time? Because I don't have time to.
Well, when you have that much money,
yeah,
you got
have
time. Yeah.
So do you know if he's gonna like pay you beforehand or?
I don't think money was never discussed.
Gotcha.
So that's where I'm kind of concerned. Is like, what is he actually looking for?
You should discuss money before you meet.
Yeah.
Because you want to be like, you want to make him know that you're not going there to like get to know him and like shit like that. Like you're going there to get money.
Right. But if that takes trying to like build some kind of like actual connection, like even just as friends, like I'm down to get to know someone and like learn about their life, and like that would be cool. Like I don't really care about that as much, but like if he's not gonna be paying me at the same time, like that's when I'm gonna be like, sorry, I can't be like wasting my time, like I'm doing this for money. I'm sorry, but like that's just not what I'm looking for.
No, I think definitely at least discuss it like with him, like because you don't want him to waste your time either. Like your time is also money.
No, exactly.
Quite literally.
So we'll see. And like if it goes south, like then I'll just be in Carlsbad with my friends that are there spying on me.
Yeah,
and I'll go to dinner with them.
There's this really nice pizza place. I went there last week. Blaze Pizza. It's really good. You should check it out. Yeah, it's in Carlsbad.
Okay, maybe that. But I don't want to. If he's trying to be a sugar daddy, I don't want him to see him. I don't want
him
to see
Blaze
me eating a pizza.
Pizza's kind of cheap. Yeah.
No, but I don't want him to see me eating a pizza. Like it's so messy.
Nah.
I am very messy.
Maybe that's a turn on for him. Older guys.
Tablecloth ruined.
There's no seating. How are y'all sitting? Like all the outdoor dining stuff.
I was confused because I was like, oh well, I'm not in the Carlsbad area, so could maybe meet somewhere else. And he was like, oh well, I was thinking Carlsbad because things are open there.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
I went last week and it wasn't
so I was confused. I don't know. We'll figure it out. If not,
maybe he just knows which place.
It's a really beautiful place. It's a good day trip.
I do like Carlsbad. It is nice there. I've been there a couple times.
But yeah, maybe if this episode gets traction, if you allow us to keep this part in, we can have you in for an update on how the date went.
For sure, we'll do that. Yeah, I'm chill with keeping this in.
And then,
it's not a big deal.
When are you planning to donate the eggs? Because let's plan out the second episode already. I want to hear updates on all of this shit.
I actually don't know when that will be because they said that it's only when a parent like chooses me that they would do the surgery and get the eggs. So that could be like a month, like it could be a while. So
that makes sense.
But we'll see. I think once my testing is all done, because like I did the blood test and everything, I think once all that is in and my genetic stuff is in, like they'll give me a better update of like what's happening.
So one last question. So then do you get paid for all this testing and like being on the phone, or do you only get paid if someone chooses your eggs?
Yeah, you only get paid if someone chooses your eggs. Because I mean, it kind of makes sense. Because it's like they lose so much money on people that don't get picked. So, yeah.
I just think it's so weird for me to think like guys get like, have to go in for like 5 minutes and like nut into a cup. And that's it, and like you have to go through psychological testing, questioning.
Well, they probably also have to go through those questions
through questioning too. Yeah.
But it's just
easier for them.
I think
just in a cup.
No self injections, no surgery.
I think one of the extra things that like I had to do was doing like the what is it called, the ultrasound of like seeing if I had enough follicles, where obviously guys don't have to do that, and like obviously we need a surgery because how else would they get the eggs?
It's a little more complicated.
But that's also why we get paid more than guys. Guys, all they have to do is jack off.
I asked one of my friends, I was like, how much was it? It's like $60, that's it.
Yeah, it's not
it's not even worth it.
Because, like, think about how many times guys can jerk off into a cup. Like, and then, like, for women,
you're allowed to go, like, every day.
But for women, like, when you do egg donation, you do the surgery and everything, there's, like, always a maximum amount of times. It's, like, 6 to 10 is, like, your max. Like, you're not supposed to do it more than that, or it could be, like, there's, like, health reasons for that. But.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then I was, like, at $60 for a nut, like, I don't even know if it's worth it to have kids running around. True. You know, for $6,000, I can see it. $60, like, sell one of your shoes. Like,
like there's so many other ways.
One shoe.
$60.
Anyway, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Being our first ever guest. and talking about everything and being so chill and open with your stories.
You're welcome.
I know we have like 5 viewers, but still, now they can hear about it. And with that, Sophia, do you have any last concluding thoughts?
No, just thank you for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
And maybe when you're like 30 and this is on YouTube,
Aww,
you can listen to
that'd be cute.
how you went
my
through
gosh.
the decision making of
My
like
kids
giving
from
your
Ed
ex.
donating can listen to this.
Be like, oh yeah, she knew what she was getting into.
You're in me right now, bitch.
We have no excuses. We know exactly what we were thinking
Yeah.
at this time.
So hello to Kristen's kids from 2040. Thanks for listening.
Signing off, about to go get absolutely sloshed. I will see you in 10 years.
Sounds good. Bye everyone.
Bye.